Unknown aircraft. You have 60 seconds to change course away from the USS Resolute, or we will be forced to engage. That final warning crackled across the comms. Beneath the ocean surface, the fleet tightened formation, weapon systems armed and ready. Then a single voice cut through the static, composed and unhurried. She spoke one call sign, just one, and the tension broke apart like smoke. The pilots who were a breath away from firing stood down and came to attention. Who was she? How does a single word freeze an entire fleet in place? Drop your city in the comments and stay with us for real stories where quiet authority hits harder than firepower. Commander Kate Mercer, 43, once ruled the skies above the Pacific Fleet. She was both an elite combat pilot and a sharp strategic mind rolled into one. They called her Shadowhawk, a name forged on missions so classified that even people who knew her weren't supposed to. She stepped away from active duty 5 years ago. Official paperwork listed a medical retirement following a training accident that left her managing chronic pain. But among the pilots who had flown alongside her, the real story was something else entirely. Too many impossible assignments, too many secrets that no single person should have to carry alone. Now she's back, sent straight from the Pentagon. Not as the decorated commander she once was, but as a civilian analyst running an unannounced readiness audit of the Pacific Fleet. Her job is to find out whether current air defenses can actually detect and respond to stealth threats targeting their most valuable ships. She flies alone in her own L-39 Albatross, a surplus trainer she has heavily modified. No filed flight plan, no military transponder, no heads up for the radar technicians sweeping the sky. To every screen watching, she is just an unidentified intruder edging toward restricted airspace. But this is no ordinary blip. Straight ahead sits the USS Resolute, a Nimitz-class supercarrier and the crown jewel of the Pacific. And for Kate, its silhouette materializing through the morning haze pulls at memories she has kept buried. The Resolute had been her launching point on that last deployment. She flew her final mission off its deck, a rescue operation that brought out 12 Marines, even though her wingman never made it back. Those same corridors once carried whispered talk of Shadowhawk, the phantom in the sky who appeared and disappeared with impossible timing. She was a legend in motion, and now she is being tracked by the very systems she helped build, hunted by pilots flying tactics she personally wrote, circling the carrier where her story began. As she closes the distance to the fleet, the operators watching her signal grow more uneasy by the minute. Protocol is clear. Any unidentified aircraft approaching the perimeter must identify itself without delay. But when the transponder registers civilian and she refuses to answer the radio, alarms ripple across the entire task force. Inside the Air Operations Center aboard the Resolute, officers lock onto her signal. The flight path is too direct, too deliberate to be a mistake. Either the pilot is reckless beyond reason, or they know this system better than anyone should. Scramble the alert fighters, the air boss orders, his voice carrying the calm weight of experience. He has worked through enough aerial alerts to run the drill in his sleep. Identify, warn, and walk them out. From the Resolute's deck, 2 F-22 Raptors launch into the sky in perfect sequence, engines tearing through the morning air. These are the finest jets in American aviation, flown by some of the Navy's best. They have intercepted dozens of unidentified aircraft. As far as they are concerned, this is standard procedure. Leading the response is Lieutenant Ryan Calloway, call sign Raptor 1, eyes steady on the radar screen. He reads the bogey's profile. Probably a light trainer. Maybe an old vet out for a joyride who drifted into the wrong stretch of ocean. Calloway has done this more times than he can count. What he does not know is that the person he is closing in on wrote the very playbook he is following right now, and mentored half the current Top Gun instructors personally. The one whose name still gets spoken with weight in ready rooms from Guam to San Diego. Shadowhawk is coming back, and the sky has not forgotten. Ryan banks into intercept position. His wingman slides in tight beside him, precise and ready. Both aircraft carry live missiles, standard protocol for an unidentified approach. Ryan opens the comms. Unidentified aircraft. This is Navy Flight Raptor 1. You are entering restricted airspace. Identify yourself and adjust course to heading 270. Kate hears every word and holds her silence. She studies the two F-22s ahead, their posture, their formation, their payload. It is a textbook intercept, executed flawlessly. Her textbook. She watches without flinching as Ryan repeats the call after 30 seconds, his tone sharper now. This is your second warning. You have 60 seconds to comply, or you will be treated as a hostile. In her headset, tactical chatter hums to life. The Combat Information Center aboard the Resolute is buzzing. Spotters are tracking her position. Weapons teams are waiting for clearance to lock on. Raptor 2 cuts in on the private channel, half amused. Ryan, you thinking what I am thinking? Civilian with a death wish, playing pilot in a trainer. Ryan replies with a quiet exhale. Could be. Either way, we run the script. Walk her out and let the Coast Guard clean it up. Back in the Air Operations Center, the air boss is running low on patience. Raptor 1, if she does not respond in 30 seconds, you are cleared to fire a warning shot across the bow. Kate's lips pull into a tight, knowing smile. A warning shot. She remembers drafting that exact protocol 8 years ago during a training drill not far from this stretch of water. The irony would be funny if the stakes were not so real. Ryan flips back to the open channel one final time. Final warning. Unidentified aircraft. You have 30 seconds to comply, or we will take defensive action. This is not a simulation. That is when Kate finally touches the mic. Her reply comes steady and clear, slicing through the static without effort. USS Resolute, this is Shadowhawk. I am coming home. Disarm your weapons. The silence that follows is immediate and total. Every frequency drops quiet. In the Combat Information Center aboard the Resolute, a coffee mug slips from someone's grip and hits the floor. Operators freeze mid-sentence. The air boss stands motionless, hand hovering over the comms panel. Ryan nearly jerks his control stick in shock. Did she just say Shadowhawk? His wingman murmurs. No way, Ryan. That cannot be real. But up on the flag bridge, Admiral Hargrove is already reaching for the secure line. He is one of the few aboard who knows exactly who Shadowhawk is, and more importantly, that she is here on a covert Pentagon assignment. All units, this is Admiral Hargrove. His voice cuts cleanly through the chaos. Cease all defensive operations. I repeat, power down all weapon systems. Raptor flight, your new orders are escort detail, not intercept. Ryan stares ahead, trying to make sense of it. Escort, sir? She is unregistered civilian. Negative, Raptor 1. That aircraft is operating under clearance levels well above yours. Assume honor guard formation and ensure safe approach. Ryan glances toward his wingman, both still reeling. How does one call sign flip the entire mission in seconds? He has flown 6 years and earned his place among the best. But he has never heard a voice that could silence the sky like that. Honor guard. His wingman echoes back flatly. I heard. The other pilot replies, disbelief sitting heavy in his voice. I still cannot believe it. Kate adjusts her flight path, easing her jet into the carrier's approach corridor. The F-22s settle in on either side, respectful and steady. From the Resolute's deck, other aircraft begin to lift off, not to challenge her, but to join the escort. Deep inside the ship's intelligence division, Junior officers are pulling up secure archives, searching for whatever they can access. The file marked Shadowhawk is locked behind top-tier clearance codes. Still, fragments surface. A pilot whose record was split across compartments, extractions behind enemy lines, recon flights into hostile territory, training missions that redefined what the word impossible meant. Every entry marked with the same line: presidential authorization required to discuss. Ryan's voice returns, this time aimed directly at her. Shadowhawk, this is Raptor 1. It has been an honor flying your escort. Kate answers quietly, warmth unmistakable beneath the composure. Thank you, Raptor 1. That was a clean intercept. Your instructors would be proud. Ryan's throat tightens. There is something in her tone, a familiarity, as if she already knows who trained him. As if this is not just a compliment, but something being handed forward. They thought they were chasing a rule breaker. It turned out they were honoring the one who wrote the rules. Because real authority does not always announce itself. Sometimes it simply speaks, and the sky obeys. Word of Shadowhawk's return moves through the Resolute like a shockwave. Priority alerts reach every deck within moments. Clearance authentication is already underway. Those who recognize the call sign drop everything and move toward vantage points. Inside intelligence, archived files sealed for years are suddenly being requested. Lieutenant Commander Emily Tran, the Resolute's lead intel officer, stares at her monitor in stunned silence as pieces of Kate Mercer's record begin to surface. Her deputy leans close. Ma'am, most of this is above our clearance level. But what we can access, these missions did not officially exist. Solo flights over enemy territory, rescues from deep behind lines, training operations that pushed the edge of what the Navy believed any pilot could endure, and always the same line in bold. Discussing this material requires presidential clearance, but what stops Emily cold is the mission dates. They align with major global events, events that never officially involved U.S. military action. Captain Donovan, she calls out, eyes still fixed on her screen. You need to see this. Donovan, the Resolute's commanding officer, walks over. Tran is direct. Sir, according to this, Kate Mercer did not retire. She was reassigned into something so deeply classified, her entire record was scrubbed clean. For the past 5 years, she has been flying black operations. Donovan reads in silence, his expression growing heavier with each line. You are telling me we nearly engaged someone who has been running covert missions for the Pentagon? Tran nods. Yes, sir. And this last entry places her under a project whose name is entirely redacted. I do not even have access to it. Out on the deck, something unusual takes shape. Stories about Shadowhawk have always lived in hushed voices, the phantom aviator who vanished and reappeared at will. Chief Douglas, a 20-year veteran, stands with a group of younger sailors, speaking low and steady. I was at Lore when she was still active. Watched her land an F-18 that had no hydraulics, no power, and half the tail gone. Maintenance could not figure out how it ever got airborne. A younger voice speaks up. Why now, Chief? Why come back? Chief Douglas does not hesitate. Because when Shadowhawk shows up, something significant is on its way. She does not appear just to catch up. On the flag bridge, Admiral Hargrove raises binoculars, tracking the small jet's approach. He is one of the few aboard who knows exactly what Kate has been doing since she disappeared from official records. What the crew does not and cannot know is that for 5 years, Shadowhawk has been flying missions in the most hostile airspace on Earth, alone, unacknowledged, uncredited. Sir, his aide approaches, voice careful. Pentagon is on Secure 1, requesting confirmation of Commander Mercer's arrival. Hargrove nods once. He had been expecting that call. This is not simply a surprise audit. This is phase 1 of something far more critical, something that requires a pilot who does not hesitate without backup, who goes where others cannot, and who leaves no trace, only results. Kate's L-39 slips into final approach. The F-22s hold position on either side, formation sharp. But inside both cockpits, Ryan and his wingman are still piecing it together. Raptor 2, Ryan says on a secure channel. Remember what my Top Gun instructor used to say about that pilot who would appear at training and pull off maneuvers physics said were not possible? I am starting to think that was her. On deck, landing signal officers stand straighter than usual. Instructions from the bridge were unmistakable. Treat this like receiving a head of state. Kate guides her jet with ease, the Resolute's deck rising to meet her. But the memories rise faster. The last time she landed here, she carried intelligence that stopped a conflict the world never heard about. Another time, she touched down after pulling a downed pilot from a country that did not appear on any map. But today, there is no extraction and no debrief. Today is the beginning. Her wheels meet the deck. The arresting cable catches. The jet jerks to a stop. As the canopy lifts, Kate sees them. Faces packed along catwalks and hatches. Some she knows. Some look too young to have ever heard her voice in person. Captain Donovan approaches with an honor guard at his side, an unusual protocol for a civilian. But Admiral Hargrove's orders had left no room for interpretation. Commander Mercer is to receive full honors. Her title may have changed. Her service has not. Commander Mercer. Donovan greets her as she pulls off her helmet. Welcome back aboard the Resolute. Thank you, Captain. Her voice carries the same composed authority that had stopped a fleet cold. But something new sits beneath it now. A quiet edge of something deeper. As if this return carries more weight than duty alone. Nearby, Ryan and his wingman guide their Raptors to a halt and climb down slowly, still processing the chain of events. Ryan spots Kate and walks over, suddenly uncertain of his footing. "Ma'am," he says, sounding more like a trainee than a seasoned pilot. "I just wanted to say, I am sorry about the intercept, if we had known who you were." Kate studies him for a moment, then offers a small, knowing smile. "There is nothing to apologize for, Lieutenant. You ran the playbook correctly. Your formation work was some of the sharpest I have seen in years. Who trained you?" "Commander Stevens, ma'am, at Top Gun. Rick Stevens." She nods. "Good choice. Tell him Shadowhawk says he is producing sharp pilots." Ryan's eyes go wide. That name has come up in Stevens's lectures more than once, always spoken with reverence, and now he is standing face to face with the woman behind it. But it is Chief Douglas who brings the moment full circle, stepping forward with a few young sailors close behind, nervous, curious, and silent. "Ma'am," he says plainly, "it is a real honor having you back on this deck." Kate looks around at the faces gathered. Some she remembers, many she does not, but every one of them wears the same expression: respect, genuine and unguarded. For years she has lived in the shadows, finishing missions that would never appear on a briefing slide. Success meant silence. Recognition was never part of the arrangement. But today is different. Today the phantom has returned and the silence has lifted. Word travels fast. What began as a routine intercept becomes a quiet celebration across the Resolute, every corridor and every ready room carrying one message. Shadowhawk is back. Admiral Hargrove personally accompanies Kate on a full walkthrough of the ship, but this is not a ceremonial stroll. It is the mission she was sent to complete, assessing fleet readiness. Only now every department is eager to show their work. "Your intercept protocols have come a long way since I was last here," she notes as they step into the Combat Information Center. The radar integration with aerial response is seamless. Whoever rebuilt your threat matrix knew exactly what they were doing. Hargrove smiles. Funny you say that. It was based on your final recommendations. Took 5 years to secure the funding, but we made it happen. Kate studies the screens and layout, recognizing her own fingerprints everywhere. Faster alert paths, adaptive strike protocols, smarter communications routing. All ideas she had once mapped out in memos she was not certain anyone would read. Now they are fully operational. Throughout the ship, she meets crew trained on procedures she designed, operators running her code, pilots flying paths she once pioneered, mechanics tuning systems to specs she once proposed. At every stop, the pattern repeats. Hesitation first, then pride when she notices the precision of their work, followed by a flood of questions about improvements and pushing the systems further. And through it all, Lieutenant Ryan Calloway stays at her side. Officially, he is her escort during the pilot briefings. In practice, he is absorbing every word, still trying to understand how he went from intercepting a stranger to walking beside a legend. "Ma'am," Ryan asks as they cross the deck, "when you designed the intercept protocols, did you ever picture something like today?" Kate pauses, then nods slowly. "I wrote those procedures with the idea that one day someone like me might need to approach this carrier without notice. I just never thought I would be the one putting them to the test." He hesitates, then asks, "What was it like, those missions no one talks about?" She does not dodge it. Isolating. When your assignments do not officially exist, no one can acknowledge your wins. And when things go wrong, there is no one to lean on. You carry all of it yourself. That evening, without ceremony, the Resolute hosts an impromptu gathering in the hangar bay. Captain Donovan steps forward and announces that Commander Mercer will share a few thoughts. But what follows is not a debrief. It is storytelling. She talks about slipping past enemy lines to pull out 3 trapped Marines in a helicopter that was not supposed to make it that far. About a recon mission that quietly resolved a crisis before the news ever caught wind. About test flights that pushed past everything fighters and their pilots were believed capable of. But the moment that holds the room comes when she turns directly to the younger sailors and aviators. 5 years ago, I thought leaving active duty meant leaving this family behind. I was wrong. Every mission I flew after that, every risk, every night spent alone over hostile ground, was about protecting what we built here. She gestures to the crew before her, a mix of familiar and new faces. This ship, this mission, this team. You are what makes the risk worth carrying. You are what is worth coming back for. The applause rolls through the hangar like thunder, but what follows carries the deeper meaning. Small groups sharing memories, senior chiefs mentoring newer sailors, pilots trading flight stories and strategy improvements, comparing upgrades they have implemented. Before the evening ends, Ryan walks over one last time. "Ma'am, will you be staying with us?" Kate takes a long look at the jets she once helped redesign, at the people who understand what it means to protect something larger than themselves. "For a while," she says. "There are new procedures to test, new pilots to mentor, and I have a feeling the Pacific is going to need Shadowhawk again before long." The hangar gradually clears. The crowd disperses, but Kate stays still in her flight suit, watching the horizon as the sun drops low, painting the sea in amber and red. Tomorrow she will disappear again, back to the quiet missions, the unsung work. But tonight she is not just a shadow in the system. Tonight she is home. Because in a world of transponder codes and clearance levels, some voices carry an authority that cannot be issued or erased. Kate Mercer always understood what few pilots ever do. Real command does not live in titles. It lives in the moments no one forgets. 6 months after Kate Mercer returned to the Resolute, the Pacific Fleet moves with an aerial precision that has become the envy of militaries around the world. But more than that, it operates with a renewed understanding of what genuine mastery looks like. Lieutenant Ryan Calloway, now a squadron leader, keeps a recording of that day's radio exchange on his personal device, not as a keepsake, but as a reminder. Assumptions can be fatal, and the voices that matter most often sound nothing like what you expect. I learned something that day, Ryan tells every new pilot during orientation. The comms did not recognize her because of rank or access codes. It recognized her because she was the frequency. She wrote herself into the airwaves that still protect us. Inside the Resolute's intelligence center, they have since built something called the Hawk Protocols, systems capable of identifying the digital signatures of operators who once flew in silence, ensuring that the architects of these defenses are never locked out of their own systems. But more importantly, the protocols now recognize something else: authority not assigned, but earned. The most significant shift across the fleet is not hardware, it is mindset. A new tradition has started, Invisible Wings Day, an annual observance for pilots whose legacies remain unspoken. The Black Ops flyers, test pilots, instructors who shaped the elite from behind the curtain. Kate speaks at each ceremony, not about medals, but about the weight of flying in the space between protocol and necessity. When you step into that cockpit, she says, you are not just flying for today. You are becoming part of a frequency that protects strangers in places you will never see, long after your own wings are stored away. She still wears those wings, despite her unofficial title. Some pilots need clearance from the tower. Others are the clearance the sky has been waiting for. And those young aviators in the crowd do not just hear her. They absorb every word. Some of their names will one day be spoken in ready rooms not yet built. When the ceremony ends, Kate steps out onto the flight deck she once launched from and now shields from behind the veil. The F-22s still scramble when unknown signatures appear, but now they listen for voices that carry weight beyond standard clearance. At the base of the island's ready room, a small plaque has been installed. No ceremony, no spotlight, just the words. To those who fly beyond the maps, who never stopped watching. Legends do not fade, voices do not lie, and the sky never forgets. Because when your call sign becomes legend, clearance does not matter. And when your legend never left the frequency, clearance was never needed to begin with. Subscribe to Old Bill's Tales if you believe the sky still listens for real aviators, because the voice is the credential, and legends keep flying.